It's something that when I arrived at K-State, I wanted to make sure we built sustained success and not a one-off team. And so it's a credit to the guys in the locker room that each year they wipe the slate clean and feel like I got to prove it all over again. And we're excited about the direction that we're headed. We know that we've got more in us, and we've scratched the surface. We got to just keep elevating and keep climbing that ladder.
And how about the way the league is now configured? So many teams,
Yeah.
kind of budgets that are all in the same
Yep.
area. To have a real run of dominance.
Well, I think it's going to be hard to have a real run of dominance. I really do. Just the landscape of college football is changing with the transfer portal, as well as you just don't know. I don't know how the 16 teams were picked in whatever order. We're second or third or something, but how you determine between 4 and 9 or 8 and 13, yeah, I just don't know because you don't know what everybody has coming back. You don't know the people that they got in the portal that maybe nobody really knows about yet. And so there's great parity in our league. I don't think anybody gets caught up in who should be first, who should be last. Last year, West Virginia was supposed to be last, and they were going to be dang good, and I knew they were going to be good. And so you better take care of your business and get prepared throughout the month of August because it's going to be a gauntlet come September.
Kind of come to the decision to move forward
Just maturity, and he was ready. We saw enough last year that for us, we knew he was going to be the guy long term for us, and he was ready for that moment. It was his time, and I told him when we recruited him, he's going to be the face of the program, and it came up late in his first year where he ended up truly being the face, and I'm excited because he's really taken that mantle really well, and he's been a great leader for a young player. He's been a great leader as well as learning from some of these older guys that are here with him.
When you're recruiting a player like that, I mean, how do you tell when a guy is going to be like having
He had an it factor. You can tell the guys that have it factors, and the confidence but not arrogance. And he was confident, and I knew that. And I believe it, and he believes it that he should be the best quarterback in this league. Now we've got to go out and prove it, but there's a belief that's there.
Why do you think that there's been such a run of great Kansas talent, especially?
Kids in Kansas are getting developed. They're playing multi-sports, which I think is big as well. And I'm still a big proponent of that. And more schools are coming into the state and recruiting, and that's why we've got to continue to make it a priority.
Is that maturity the biggest difference in Avery from this time a year ago, or is there something
He's
else?
always had a great maturity about him. He always has been a really mature guy, but he's a humble guy, and he works his tail off. He's the best competitor I've been around since Easton Stick, and I had Easton at North Dakota State for 5 years, and he's with the Chargers. Avery's that kind of competitor. If you'd come out and watch a morning run, he's not losing any of the competition drills. He's not losing any of the races where it's not a race, where he's just going to finish first in everything he does. And then he brings the other ones around him to say, hey, man, why don't you run with me? You stay up top with me, because he wants to be the best. And he's a hard-working, humble kid that has got huge goals. But I'm excited because he has those habits that would allow him to reach those goals.
Where have you seen him make the biggest jump, maybe this time of year?
Oh, just in knowledge as well. I mean, the fact that he's not played a ton of snaps, but the snaps that he's played, he learns from. He watches film over and over. Plus, he's probably 20 pounds heavier right now than he was last year. Gosh, what more can you say about the machine? We're so fortunate. Our program is to have Austin come back for his 6th year. That was one that was really important to Coach Standard and I at the end of the season, to try to get him to come back for one more year. And we let it breathe for a little bit. We gave him some space. And then I went to his house, talked to his folks and stuff. And he's one of the best leaders I've been around. We've been around some really good leaders in Eli Huggins and Cade Warner. Daniel Green was, Austin Moore, might trump them all as far as being able to lead the whole football team, not just your position or your unit.
What about Marquez's game helps him so much?
Siegel's so fast and he's so smart. He's a step ahead of it because he always is watching film and knowing what the opponent's going to do. He's a football junkie. He's got a great relationship with Coach Klanderman and learning the game, and he's a competitor, and he wants to be great. He wants to play on this stage in here, and he will.
How was he growing as a leader?
Well, it's difficult when you come in as an older kid and you're a transfer and you learn from those other guys first, and then they start gravitating to you by how you conduct yourself and by how you show up every day and go to work. And last year, he wasn't the ultimate leader in the secondary, but as that season went on, he became the ultimate leader in that secondary. It's probably why we had a few guys depart, because it was Siegel's group. And they've all gravitated to him, and Siegel is not afraid to hold his peers accountable because he knows how important it is for us to be successful in the back end.
As much as you're willing to share the conversations like with Bill Edwards, what conversations do you feel like you had a responsibility to have after how things played out after he
Well, what I'll share is, Glenn, we had a phenomenal relationship when I was recruiting him. I was very, very actively involved in recruiting him. And when he chose to go to another school, he called me. We had a conversation, and I wished him the best because I'm a dad and a husband too, and I want what's best for kids. But I also knew that if it didn't work out, he would consider us by how our relationship had gone and how I treated him when he did choose us. I could have told him he was making the dumbest mistake of his life, and why in the heck would he do that to me and stuff. And then he wouldn't be still coming back to K-State. But when he got in the portal, I was the first one to call him. And it wasn't an assistant, it was me. And I called him, and we picked up right where we'd left off a year or so ago from that relation. And called his dad, talked to him, had a great conversation with him, and brought him on campus quickly. Had Avery around him. We did a really good job with him and showed him that this is home, this is family. And I'm excited because super kid, and excited for him to play at K-State.
Coach, in the time you've been here as head coach, have you seen an evolution in how teams run the ball in this conference?
Always been able to run the football in this league. You know, when Matt Rule was at Baylor, they were friggin' humping at people. They were really good. And Texas has always been good running it. Oklahoma State, Gundy's done a great job running the football. You have to be able to run the football to have success. You don't have to be a soul running team, but when you need to get the ball punched downhill on people, you've got to be able to do it. And we've been fortunate. We've had really good offensive linemen. We've had some really talented running backs, and I'm hopeful that this year, with with Avery and with some of the thoughts we have and ideas from our offensive staff, that we'll be a little bit more diversified.
Coach, you mentioned getting him next to how much has he helped you with embracing that, being the face of the program?
He
How
has.
that changed?
Yeah, he has. He knows that everybody that comes to campus wants to meet him, and he doesn't say no at all to things that we ask him to do. And there's sometimes that we have to pull back and say, no, we gotta make sure Avery gets some time here, because everybody wants a piece of him, and he's not good enough at saying no because he's that kind of kid. But as the season gets closer and things, he needs to just play football too. And so we got to do a great job, Kenny and I and Lack, of just pulling some things back and letting him be a kid, letting him be a football player, because he'll do everything because he wants to.
Coach, we've got a brand new world of college football. You kind of alluded to it. You guys are playing essentially 10 conference games this
Yeah.
year. Now with the 12-team playoff, you can kind of afford a loss or two.
Yep.
Still make that. I mean, I guess in an ideal world, according to you, what would be the perfect way to make sure everybody's on the same playing field? Some teams aren't playing 8 and 9.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, I wish we all played 8. I wish we all played 8 conference games. And then between the Power 4 leagues, if you finished first last year in your league, you're going to play the first place team in the ACC to the Pac or to the Big 12, or second place team in the Big 10 is going to play the second place team in the SEC, however it may be, so that you get 2 games against other Power 4, and it's not what your institution wants. We need a commissioner of college football to do this, so that there is some parity and all the good teams are playing the good teams. But I'd rather have it be 8 teams, and so that, take the Big 12. We can go out and compete against the best in the SEC and the Big 10, and let that be our gauge of where we're at the end of the season.